Welcome back to our educational series. Today, we are diving deep into some really fascinating research on how all this digital media is shaping the experience of being a kid today. Think of this as a bit of a guide for parenting in this brave new world of screens.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get a sense of just how common screens have become. Then, we'll look at what's actually happening in a child's brain and body when they're using these devices. We're also going to tackle that big question about educational screens. Do they actually work? And we'll wrap up by exploring some really powerful, simple alternatives.
All right, so first things first, let's just paint a picture of the new normal for childhood. I mean, it is a completely different world than the one most of us grew up in, and the sheer scale of it might honestly surprise you. Get this, that number you're seeing, that's the average time a young person spends with some kind of screen every single day. For a lot of them, that's more time than they spend doing anything else, and I mean anything else, including sleeping. And you know, this starts so young. A whopping 75% of kids between 0 and 8 years old already have access to a smartphone, and almost half of them are using tablets regularly. So this isn't some trend that's on the horizon, this is the reality right now. Now, we hear a lot about the good stuff, right? It's educational or it improves hand-eye coordination. But you know, it's kind of like with any new medicine we introduce into our lives, you have to ask, what are the side effects? Are the benefits really worth the potential costs? So how exactly does all this screen time impact a brain that's still growing and changing? Let's get into the science of addiction a little bit and understand why these glowing rectangles can be so hard to put down.
The source material tells this story about a 4-year-old boy, and his behavior got really concerning. I mean, he started waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning just to play games on his iPad. And that's when his parents had to face this really tough reality. Their little boy had developed a genuine tech addiction.
And this isn't just some one-off story. Experts have identified these classic signs of tech addiction. Things like feeling anxious or irritable when the device is taken away, or needing more and more screen time just to get that same satisfied feeling. And of course, losing interest in fun things they used to love. Now, if you think that sounds a little dramatic, just listen to this. One of the top addiction specialists in the country, Dr. Nicholas Kardaras, makes this absolutely startling claim. It just goes to show how seriously and how deeply these devices can hook our brains.
And here's why this is so critical for kids. Their frontal lobe, that's the part of the brain that's in charge of impulse control, of thinking through consequences, it's not even fully baked until their early 20s. This means they are literally, physically, not equipped to control their use of something so powerfully stimulating.
Okay, so addiction is one massive piece of the puzzle, but it doesn't stop there. There's a whole body of research that points to other health concerns. So let's look at some of these hidden costs to a child's physical and mental well-being.
One pediatric therapist, Dr. Chris Rowan, lays out why handheld devices are especially tricky for kids under 12. Her concerns cover a huge range, from messing with rapid brain growth and delaying development, all the way to links with obesity and mental illness.
And this connects directly to something we all need: sleep. Check this out. A study from Boston College found that 75% of children are sleep deprived. Now here's the kicker. What's the exact same percentage of kids who are allowed to have technology in their bedrooms? You guessed it, 75%.
So why is that? Well, a big part of the answer is something called blue light. You know, on the light spectrum, you have low-energy red light, but the light that just floods out of our screens is blue light, and it has a really short wavelength and super high energy.
So this high-energy light kind of bypasses our eyes' natural filters and goes straight to the retina. But what it does right away is send this powerful signal to our brain that basically says, hey, it's daytime, wake up. And that just messes up our natural sleep cycle by hitting the brakes on melatonin, which is the very hormone that tells our body it's time to sleep.
Okay, but what about the good screen time? I mean, we all want what's best, and we hear about these amazing educational apps. Surely those are a good thing, right? Well, let's challenge that idea for a second and see what the data actually says.
So let's look at this one school district in Arizona. They poured over $70 million into educational technology. The goal was to boost academic performance. And the result? Well, their reading and math scores just stayed flat, even while scores in the rest of the state were going up.
And hey, this wasn't just a one-time thing. The biggest federal study ever done on this, a $10 million project, found basically no difference in academic achievement between the kids who used the software and the kids who didn't.
You know it's serious when even the people inside the industry, the ones selling the stuff, are admitting it. When a major investor in educational tech was asked about it, he basically said, yeah, the data to support it is pretty weak.
But maybe the most jaw-dropping piece of evidence comes from the guy who literally invented the iPad. When a reporter asked Steve Jobs if his own kids liked the new device, his answer was stunning. He said, "They haven't used it." He went on to explain that his family was actually really strict about limiting their kids' tech use at home.
So what is going on here? Why don't these apps seem to be working? Well, it might all come down to this one word: attention. See, real attention is about focusing your mind. But a lot of media is designed to force your attention, with a constant bombardment of flashy colors and loud noises.
And what happens over time is the brain can get a little, well, lazy. It gets conditioned to something else always doing the work of grabbing its attention. And when that happens, it can get a lot harder to focus on things like a book or a teacher's voice. That muscle of self-directed attention just gets weaker.
Okay, so after all of these concerns, it's easy to feel a little worried, right? But this isn't about fear. It's really about empowerment. The research also points to some incredibly powerful natural alternatives that build a super strong foundation for kids in the real world.
Take something as simple as outdoor play, for instance. I mean, it is basically the perfect antidote. It boosts pretty much everything from physical health and the immune system to cognitive function, and this is the big one, a child's natural ability to pay attention.
And it's not just about running around outside. Involving children in what you could call useful work, helping with cooking, cleaning, gardening, that stuff is pure gold for development. It teaches real cause and effect, it builds perseverance, and it develops problem-solving skills in a way a screen just can't.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? There are some lessons that you just can't learn digitally. At the end of the day, you can't grow a tomato from an app on a smartphone.
And this brings us back to this really beautiful idea from the source material, that a life that's a little less crammed with constant artificial excitement actually gives the child's natural abilities the space they need to flourish. It makes room for both physical and mental strength.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. This isn't about rejecting technology entirely, but it is about being intentional. In our world, which is just full of screens, what are those truly essential, non-negotiable building blocks that help a child really and truly thrive?